Decision making is tough. Let's face it, being a buyer isn't easy. They're overwhelmed. There's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of options. Many things aren't particularly clear. We sometimes talk about this being a VUCA world: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. These are all things which it's likely our customers are going through. And guess what? As salespeople, we can rock up and pile on even more. We're only going to make things worse.
You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes.
And welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. Another solo, another one that's part of the mini series breaking down the ethical model. The ethical model, which is at the core of my book, Ethical Selling, and how you can use this as an approach to be far more modern and far more effective in a way that customers are wanting us to work today. So today we're talking about the I in ethical, informed decision making. Informed decision making. So, little question for you. Do your customers feel confident when making decisions with you? Do your customers feel confident when making decisions with you? Because they should. Really, they should. As ethical sellers, it's our role to ensure that our customers have the right information to make the right decision without pressure or manipulation. And so that's what I want to talk about today. It's like how you can create that safe, informed buying process, where customers will trust you to guide them. Yes, you can give them some help, you can be alongside them, but still respecting their autonomy. Because decision making is tough. Let's face it, being a buyer isn't easy. They're overwhelmed. There's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of options. Many things aren't particularly clear. We sometimes talk about this being a VUCA world: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. These are all things which it's likely our customers are going through. And guess what? As salespeople, we can rock up and pile on even more. We're only going to make things worse. Yeah. Our job's to help. Our job's to become the sense maker. Yeah, we want to simplify the complex stuff, provide clarity, give customers that power to be able to decide more confidently. Yeah, because we want buyers to trust us more, feel safe about their choice, because then they're more likely to take action. When we're doing this well, technically, yes, it's selling, but if you want to think of it as solving or sense making, that is where we can really start to make all the difference. And we're going to set ourselves apart. So let's be clear. Ethical selling means no pressure tactics. You can force decisions with scare tactics. Yeah, act now, miss out, FOMO, all that stuff. But the problem with this is the decision rarely sticks. What it's likely to do is create buyer remorse. So it's where they're thinking that actually, no, this wasn't a great decision, which in turn damages trust, and so potentially going to kill off future opportunities. It's not as clever as it might sound and how some people might position it. We need to guide customers, not push them. Yeah, so think of it like, we're on a walk, we're hiking, we're this kind of guide, and we're showing them the path. Yeah, we're explaining the options, we're making sure that people are confident where they're going, But ultimately, they're the ones deciding whether they're going to take that journey or not. That's what we're all about. That's what a good, modern, professional salesperson will do. So if that's what we're signed up to, and I imagine if you're listening to this, you are, what can we do to help customers make those informed decisions? Okay, so a couple of key elements. First, provide clarity. Customers need clear, simple information to evaluate their options. Yeah, avoid jargon, unless it's stuff that's relevant to them and they understand it. Focus on what it is that matters to them. We've talked about value selling in a different episode, but that's what it boils down to. Highlight trade-offs. So every decision has got a trade-off. So be honest about limitations or alternatives so that customers are able to weigh up those options fairly. So you might be able to say that this option gives you faster delivery, but the other option is better cost efficiency. So which is more important to you right now? That's got to be the route we're going to take. Open, honest. And we want to guide without bias. So help customers explore their solutions. Don't manipulate. Don't twist it so that we are always going to be coming out best. Yeah. Look, it's okay to say, based on what you've shared, I believe this to be the best fit. But do let me know your thoughts. So think about how we're going to do that, how we're going to kind of keep neutral in the way in which we're working with people. It's a tough one when we've got targets to hit, when we've got goals that we want to achieve. Share risks and rewards is another piece of advice I'd give here. So don't just talk about benefits. We're great at doing that, salespeople. That's what we get trained to do. It makes most sense. But think about their concerns as well. Customers appreciate transparency. We spoke about that in another of the episodes. Yeah. We might say something like, "Oh, look, this solution, it requires some additional training. But once it's in place, you will save a number of hours per week." So think about how we're going to position those things. In the previous episode, I spoke about mutual action plans. Again, it makes a lot of sense to use those here. A mutual action plan, it outlines what's going to happen next. Who's responsible? What are the steps? What are the key milestones? So it gives people the path so the decision is clear. It takes away elements of uncertainty. So think about that. A couple of years ago, I was working with a client and they were struggling between two solutions. One was about short-term saving and the other was better for longer-term benefits. And it was becoming a little bit overwhelming. So what we did, instead of kind of pushing one option, we broke it down. We said, right, okay, here are the trade-offs for each of the solution. Here's a 3-year ROI comparison. And then we looked at the concerns, like the amount of time to implement, so that it became a lot clearer as to what those options actually were. And we actually did use the mutual action plan in this so that we could talk about the process for putting in place each of these options. Yeah. In the end, the client was confident in the choice they made because what they did is went what was best for them and their goals at the time. Yeah, so there wasn't any pressure. One was worth more than the other, in pure monetary terms, but that wasn't the point. It was about giving them clarity and building the trust that, look, the decision is absolutely up to them. And that's what informed decision making looks like. It isn't always easy. However, it's absolutely massively worth it. So, as always, a couple of sort of tips I'm trying to do in each of these little mini episodes. So simplify complex. Visuals. We're visual animals. When we can see something, it's far easier to make sense of something. Comparisons. So letting people see what the differences are there. Decision trees, ways in which we can sort of break down the options and make choices easier. Yeah. Questions. Now, salespeople should be confident with questions. They're our friend. That's what we use. But if people are unsure, we can use clarifying questions. Yeah. What concerns you most about this decision? What additional information would you need, would help you to make that decision? Be transparent about risks. Yeah, so upfront about challenges, upfront about limitations. And we talked about leading with a flaw as a trust builder in a different episode. But yeah, being absolutely transparent and talking about from their side where risks might be. Guide, don't push. Yeah, we can offer recommendations, but the customer has got to feel in control. That's what we're trying to achieve here. And again, if we can map out next steps, use a mutual action plan, show what happens after the decision, that's going to be better for everyone. When a customer feels informed, then they can act with confidence. And ultimately, that's going to be a win for everybody. And we do talk about win-win-win in ethical selling, win for customer, win for company, and win for your own conscience. So that's what we're ultimately trying to achieve. Okay, so again, trying to keep these episodes short and sweet. Let's wrap up. So informed decision making is about empowering customers with clarity, transparency, trust, guiding them without bias, without pressure, so they can choose the path, they can choose the way forward that's best for them. As always, little challenge, nice sort of simple one, but one which you apply is going to make a difference. In the next sales conversation you have, think about how you can simplify a complex choice and use one of the tips I've just been outlining. So it could be like, can you make a visual comparison? Can you build a mutual action plan? What can you do to make the decision easier for the customer? Ultimately, ethical sellers, it isn't about being a closer, closing deals. It's about helping customers to make the right decisions. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. In the next, we will move on to collaborative relationship building. So this is all about thinking like a partner, how to build relationships that last. If you have enjoyed today, take something from it, don't forget to subscribe, share it with the team, leave a review, buy the book. But until next time, keep selling ethically.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the Collaborative Selling Scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.